My name is Augustina MS.ABA Austin, music artist, presenter, and creative entrepreneur. Over the years, I have met up with successful Africans in business, fashion, lifestyle, and entertainment in and outside of the continent. I discovered that our success stories are endless. I have decided to unveil them one by one. Join me on Africa on Focus as I talk on how Africans are making Africa the future and why you should be a part. Africa in Focus, sharing the stories of the African successful. Oh, na 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 na. We ain't even got a track on it. I got many blessings, I can brag on it. I've been through the fire, I can talk on it. And I heard that in the streets that they got love for me. Oh, shit, oh, Baba. Now, Baba gotta make me turn my swag on. They badu me anytime when the song on. They see the light be shining when you're wrong on. Now you see, say we there run the city. I don't think that any one of you could step to titty. I just wanna sing the song, break it down, oh yeah, shake it to the bone, oh yeah, chop for me. I don't bear for a long, or a niece okay. I don't bear for a long, oh yeah, cool mole. I don't bear for a long. If I start to talk, the thing with my back on it don't do it no going. My brother, you no going. If I start to count. The blessing Papa God it give me when no going. My brother, you know going. No, 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 no. You and me be on some good I know. Oh no, you me CCTV, baby, and any woman so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear. And every day be Jackado. You want me be on Tongana, no. Oh no, yeah, me CCTV, baby, and any woman so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear. And every day be Jackado. I don't be a summon. I don't be a demon. I don't be a demon. And to ninja chida. I don't be a summon. I don't be a. And to ninja chida. I don't be a summon. I don't be a demon. I don't be a demon. And to ninja chida. I don't be a summon. I don't be. And to ninja chida. Oh, yeah, when me be on some corner, no. Oh no, you're the CCTV, baby, and anyone would say. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear. And every day be Jackado.
If you know, take me anywhere you want, I go follow you. Yeah, I go follow you. Oh, where she lie, anyway. Where she lie, anyway. Where the sun come yeah, come yeah. Where the sun come yeah. Camelumbe,
numbelesa. Nimwe umwe washilaka na besa. Come rain, come sunshine, I will give you praise. In my good and bad times, Lord, I will give you praise. There's nobody better than you. Nobody better than you. Oh.
Take me anywhere you want, I go follow you. Yeah, I go follow you. Oh, where was she lying? Where was she lying? Where let's come rumbe. Yeah, come rumbe. Where let's come rumbe.
Papa God, you surprise me. I don't understand how you love me. Dile mucho chabe. Pasi muni con so chabe. You anywhere I will go. You love me despite my faults. There's nobody better than you. Nobody better than you. Oh.
Take me anywhere you want, I go follow you. Yeah, I go follow you. Oh, where was she lying? Where was she lying? Where let's come rumbe. Yeah, come rumbe. Where let's come rumbe. Come rumbe.
7. When they see me hands in the air, they don't know what I've been through. When me presence flying in the air, they don't know just me and you. So take it, Lord, take it higher. With all the praise, we magnify ya. Me never stop even through the fire. Through the fire. Take it, Lord, take it higher. With all the praise, we magnify ya. Me never stop even through the fire. Take me, Lord, where you want me to.
Yeah. To hold me when I'm falling down. Mueles I'm coming away. I'm coming away.
The first child is sleeping.
I think that it deserves a smooth transition, but we will work on that since very soon we will be going back to the High Radio studios in Amsterdam, which is, by the way, a whole new, fantastic, beautiful studio setup. Everything is like serious, 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 all packed up for you. But we're not talking about that, as women do. Women never stop working, and that's why we decided that Women About Business, as it comes for a Women About Business show, it will continue to go on. And that is why we have moved Women About Business, which was a segment on my show, Africa in Focus. We have moved it to a proper single day. So here we are, back again, back again to talk about this fantastic Women About Business. It is a weekly program coming to its own. It's taking shape, and that's why we're here. So it's a bit 7 minutes after 8 p.m. in the city of Amsterdam, that is. Wherever you out in the world, shout out to you. How are you on this lovely September day? I think that I am extra thankful for every new day that comes along, of course, in this crazy, crazy year. But anyway, you're listening to High Radio, the voice of the next generation. By the way, our studio and everything is going to be launched in full effect. Stay tuned for that. And my colleagues, Gary with Y-Zone, Candy with East African Sounds. We also have Junior with the Afrobeat Show. And of course, Africa on Focus will be back in, let's say, 3 weeks. But when it comes to Women About Business, we're still tuning in from our homes because the type of guests that we're actually having the opportunity to interact with are so fantastic, and we just can't stop it. And it's a newly launched show, so that's why we're here. I am MS.ABA. I'm your host, and in a few seconds, I'll be calling my co-host, Kimberley Ofori, who is part of the Women About Business. Yeah, the Women About Business thing. I just want to give a shout out to a few people that are, tuning in with us today. Shout out to Evan. Evan, who's given me strong feedback through the comments section. I'll be sure to to share that in a bit. And also, I want to give a shout out to Wompa Krache. I'm not even sure if I say that the right way, but Wompa, shout out to you, who's saying return of High Radio. As a matter of fact, High Radio is going to come back really soon, very, 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 very soon, and we will be talking, music, entertainment, all things Africa, and all of those things. So stay tuned for that. But I'm delighted to have you here, Wampa. Where are you tuning in from? I would really like to hear from you. But anyway, High Radio will be back soon in full force. And right now, you're listening to Women About Business, and where I, myself, and my co-host Kimberley Ofori are talking to all kinds of fantastic, fantastic entrepreneurial, mighty, awesome women all around the world, African women that can, help us create success and so much more. So without further ado, let me make sure that I get Kimberley here on so that we get to talking. And let me see how she is doing. Let me see. Hello, Kimberley. How are you?
Hey, girl. I'm good. How are you?
Great. I'm good. I'm good. I am on what's it called? Cool mode. I've been running up and down this day, but as we always do for when we're in front of the camera, we have to make sure that it doesn't look like that.
I know, and you wouldn't, if you hadn't told us, then we wouldn't have known how busy you are. You look fabulous every time.
And yourself as well, looking very festive.
Thanks.
How has been your week so far?
It's been interesting. I am working on a lot of new things and realizing that we're getting a day older. So the energy that I had a few years ago to be running around and doing multiple things at the same time, I'm like, it's not that easy anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing what we can, and yeah, it's exciting times. I've had an exciting week with challenges that help me learn. So I like that.
Yeah. Let's just there at the moment you're like, oh man, why do I have to go through this? But afterwards you're like, you know what, this is probably to help me learn a thing or two. So let me just take it. Let me just take it as it is, and go with the flow. Go with the flow. And how has been things with the Kimberley Ofori business? We've been running full force. Of course, I have been seeing you, speaking and talking and doing all kinds of virtual events.
I know. Yeah. So the Kimberley Ofori, the brand, it's been interesting. I took a break last month after going full force, doing webinars and speaking events almost every day during the lockdown. And but it was really good because it now enabled me to get connected to people that are helping me further with actually growing the business. And so for my personal branding, it has done a lot with credibility, and it has helped me reach a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't have noticed me or have replied to my messages. So that's but business wise, like I said, I'm busy setting up a few new things, and those are the things that I'm working on on the background. And I love that there's kind of what social media or the internet has allowed us to do is like you put content out there and then it takes a while for people to start grasping it, right, and finding it. So even weeks after you've done an event, people are still just finding out what you did, or just seeing a video, or just seeing a flyer, and they're like, oh wow, did you do that? Or, oh hey, this was interesting. So that, but in the meantime, we're working, right? We don't stop. So
Yeah.
it kind of, at first I felt like I was battling against, the fast content that is coming out and everybody posting every day. And I'm realizing, no, actually, I've put enough content out there for a while for me to work in the background. So that, and get real stuff done, right? Because sometimes we forget that those speaking engagements and all of those things are cute, but that's not the core business. So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So there is actually a lesson to learn, to be
yeah,
learned
definitely.
from that. Yeah, I love it. I love it. As long as you can take grasp something for it, and you can you can balance your way out and be able to manage everything. I think that it's then as long as you can learn from it. I think that's the best part.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what else is interesting is that I've been reading every now and then. I think it's Google that has been sort of picking up on my often like the things I type in my search bar. But they're
Right.
actually saying that this year, 2020, having looked at the COVID period or something, is probably the moment where it proved to show that when it comes to women leaders or women being in charge, both corporate or whether that be, the other aspect of managing a crisis, such as the pandemic, women seem to be more successful in getting things done, or any of that. It's like they're saying, more women should lead in response to whether that be COVID response or crisis response.
Yeah, which is
What do
not
you think of
surprising,
that?
right?
Sorry?
I mean, I'm not surprised at all. And I've seen a lot of these articles that you're referring to, and they're also, really hyping up, the Prime Minister of New Zealand and all of those things. And I'm like, it's not surprising. Like, we were built to manage a lot of things at the same time. It is why we're so good at managing our households and managing the kids. And
Yeah.
so it's like, and so we're constantly managing little crises. Like, we were
Yeah.
trained to do that. So
Yeah.
then COVID comes along and we're like, okay, tweak a little here, tweak a little there, right? And you're
Yeah.
good. Like, we don't lose sight of the bigger picture. And I think that is
Yeah.
something that obviously it's something that you learn, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it's also a little innate to women, because we are able to, because we have always had to maneuver across and inside different circumstances, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not that, we're easily adapting to different situations.
Yeah.
So nothing new in that sense. And then again, there's really nothing new under the sun. I mean, if we're going to look back 400 years, or we're going to look back 800 years, there were crises. Women were at the forefront. Like, we go back in history, it's nothing new.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Definitely. And I also heard, I think it was this, was it a social commentator or whatever, these comedians are sort of social commentators. Now he said, this crisis has really taught us that, it's probably the best if if we let women lead more, because they put their heart in the right place and everything. And this is very contradicting to, what normally was the statement in general, both said by male and female, that women are too emotional to lead. And even some women believe that if a woman is to be put in the higher up within a corporate organization or anything, women can't handle it anymore, sort of.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
I mean, it's always interesting to dig around and find out how these kind of stereotypes and stigmas came about, and who. And I always ask the question, who benefits from that narrative, right? And then you
yeah,
can kind of work your way back into why that was said in the past. It was to keep women in the place that people thought they were supposed to be in. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
you're too emotional to lead was a way to kind of shut women up and say, you know what, you're good at what you're doing. Don't try to go, stay in your lane. Now we're
Yeah.
understanding that we can all create our own lanes. If you are happy with not being a leader, that's fine. But you can't
Yeah.
tell somebody who has the capabilities to lead that they can't simply because they're a woman. Because now we
Yeah.
have a lot of science debunking whatever was being said then. Thankfully so.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And one thing I also love, because you kind of know what women tend to, or the bad habits that women tend to go into, uh, as it relates to the women leadership versus the male leadership. Have you lately run into something interesting, or that kind of picked up your attention, or that you were like, I'm going to change that, or I should, I feel like others should. Have you picked up or any of that?
Um, I think it's just quite interesting to see the dynamics. I think very much so. The higher up you go in terms of who you speak to, whether it be in a corporate setting or any organization,
Yeah.
you find that men are asking the question whether or not you are comfortable with being a leader, or what makes me want to have such a strong appearance or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're actually trying to find out genuinely. It's not
Yeah.
like they're trying to, there's no kind of ill thoughts around it. And
Hmm.
I think it's quite interesting, because I think if we're going to look back maybe 10 years ago, that question would have been asked sort of like, what are you trying to do? Like, stay in your lane. And now
Yeah.
men are really trying to find out, especially in corporates, what is it that makes you, or what can I do to facilitate? Or how do you see a leadership position? Because back in the day, men were defining those roles. Now we're finding
Yeah.
out that the whole masculinity wasn't really working for the culture. So
Yeah.
now it's like we need more of these skills that women have, which is empathy, which is listening, which is
Yeah.
being multidisciplinary instead of just
Yeah.
having one core expertise. And so all of these things men are picking up on. So I'm having actually very interesting conversations about, okay, how can we learn from each other? There's so many things that women can learn from men in terms of leadership. And then there's so many things that women can teach and men can learn from women. And so I'm loving the kind of conversations that we're having. But when you really look at the numbers and you really look at, how many conversations are going on that are actually leading up to something,
Yeah.
yeah, there's really not a lot changing yet, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's what it basically saying is that it's really going to take some time before we are going to see the type of changes that we're really looking for,
Right.
and hopefully we can get both male and female to be bold about it. I think that would help as well, because I realize that sometimes, even often, when it comes to the capabilities of what women can do, sometimes even women don't believe in it as much.
Yeah, and that's where it starts, right? Once we start believing in our own abilities, and that's why we need to start leading the conversation. Now we have women in research researching our behaviors, and versus men researching our behavior, not understanding what things meant. So we're all
Yeah.
kind of putting things in perspective now, but that takes time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's going to take time, and maybe it will take something like a pandemic and the aftermath of it for us to realize and really accept things the way they can go in a better way. I believe that one as much. So, for those of you who just tuned in, welcome to Women About Business. Women About Business is what is it? Is it a concept? Is an idea? It's a baby. Myself and Kimberly put together, and really here to empower mainly African women in while they venture and do it business alongside their journey. And we're really excited to invite various women into our conversation as we talk about driving change, dominating different industries, and yeah, coincidentally, we are talking about dominating milk industries. And in a bit, we are going to talk to a phenomenal lady. She is architect extraordinaire in Ghana, a force to reckon with. And we are going to talk to her about her journey as being an architect in Ghana, dominating a mill industry. Her company, Archxenus, is the first and solely one only company that is ruled, or let's say managed, by powerful women. And in a bit, she's going to talk to us. Let's say a few minutes. In between, I am just going to go into a break, and we're going to come right back and talk to Nana about what is, everything about her journey. And of course, we're going to engage with you also, getting you into the conversation as we talk to you about all of it. So we'll be right back. And while we go into a break, let's listen to this music.
I need your grace, Lord. I need more grace, Lord. Oluwa, give me your grace, cause I know bad man want to shut my race, Baba, you try for my kiss, and I know one never be shame to your name, yeah. Yeah, so I say, give me that, give me that, give me that. I don't go ever put you to shame. Yeah. So I say, give me that, give me that, give me that. I don't go ever put you to shame.
Mix one and magic.
To love you, yeah, and to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah, and to love another person like I love myself too. Cause love is what you want me to do, what you want me to do, what you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want me to do, what you want me to do, what you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want. So love the world, you die for it, yeah. You love me so, give your life for me, yeah. Say love my neighbor as I love myself. Not just to the pull up in the whip, so I feel fun for them. This is your will, not need. If I love you, I'ma keep your commandments. This is for real, not need. I got be love without string attachment, even if it burn me now. Even if it hurt me now. Even if the people I'm trying to love, sometimes they drive me low. Help me to love you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Cause love is what you want me to do, what you want me to do, what you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want me to do, what you want me to do, what you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want. If I get love, I know go. Oh, my neighbor, I know go. Kill it, person, I know go. Rape my sister, I know go. Scam my job, I know go. Lie to you, yeah, I know go. Stop your shine, I know go. Take your wife, cause he love the world. God for you, yeah. Yes, sir. He love me so. give his life for me, yeah. Say love my neighbor as I love myself. Not just could you pull up in the whip, so I feel from down. This is your real nothing. If I love you, I'ma keep your commandments. This is for real nothing. I got below that string attachment, even if it hurt me now. Even if it hurt me now. Even if the people I'm trying to love, sometimes they drive me loco. Help me to love you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah, yeah, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to love you, yeah, yeah, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah, 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 yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want. 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 Love is what you want.
All right. Well, we're right back. Sorry to surprise you with that one, Kimberly.
Did you see my? I was like,
yeah, it looked like you gave face, so so it looked beautiful. It looked like a sudden, it looked like a smile. You know what I mean? So that was good. Well, thank you. We're back again on Women About Business on High Radio. We're still sort of locked down, and we're probably going to continue having the Women About Business on lockdown mode because we're actually having the best of conversations from our home. And we've been having like fantastic guests, myself and Kimberly. So far, Kimberly, we're right in episode 5, right?
yes, yes.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. And we talked about finance. We talked about the start of business. We talked about setting up
So,
international relations. Sorry?
social entrepreneurship with Marian Spear.
That was it. That was it. And also one was the opportunities of the diaspora we have talked about. And today we have one heck of a very interesting topic, and that is dominating male industries. We're going to talk architecture. This is probably, is this the first female, probably the first female prominent architect that I'm engaging with. So I think this is going to be super, super interesting. Well, here is a lady that she's a phenomenal entrepreneur who is ruling in a male-dominated industry. And in spite of the male domination, she's all about taking ownership and making things happen. Born and raised in Ghana, she wears many hats: wife, mother, artist, architect, and CEO of Archxenus, the first female-dominated architectural firm in Ghana. Well noted. Who has a reputation for developing young architects and incubating new architecture, urban designs. She's one of the top female architect CEOs, and it's such a pleasure to have her here on the virtual backstage. Let me just introduce her without further ado. Wherever you're listening from, give like a virtual applause or welcome for Nana Akua Birmeh. Let me see. Good evening, Nana Akua. How are you? Oh, you're still
Hi,
you're still
hi,
on
I'm
mute.
good. How
That's
are you
it.
too?
We're great. We're absolutely great. You're looking all fabulous.
Okay, I have muted myself. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for being here. You look fabulous.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you. So do y'all.
Good to have you here on the show. I know you're probably as architect extraordinaire. You have such a busy schedule. So again, thank you for making time for us on this evening. How was your day? How is the is it the aftermath of lockdown in Ghana? How is that for you, especially in this day?
Yeah, I mean, how was my day? My day, well, I've just completed an office move, so yeah, my day has been quite stressful, but we take it all in a stride, and yeah, we're not completely out of lockdown, but in Ghana, we're making it happen. We just have to move on with life. It seems.
I know, right? How has COVID affected your business?
Um, Actually, well, I dare say positively because we've been forced to operate really differently. And I think at the beginning was weird, like everybody's in their home. What we did initially anyway was we had all the staff carry their workstations, got data for everyone, basically just set you up as an office at home
Right.
before they even got the lockdown. And I mean, working through that and really people in their comfort zones. And, this is a very a creative field. You need some comfort. It's bringing out the best in people. And so we just may be staying on this path. And it's also very efficient.
It is. And I find it so interesting. And I
Very-
actually expected you to say this, especially for your industry. I'm finding that a lot of businesses that are close to yours, where you're leaning towards being a consultant, being towards project-based and assignments, providing
Exactly.
services and things like that, that it's probably way more efficient not to have, a
Oh, yeah.
five-story building with staff in it, coming in,
Exactly.
clocking in and out every day, where the money could be invested elsewhere that can be more productive, being either with their clients or working from whatever place is more efficient for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually expected that. It's really interesting to hear you confirm this.
Yeah, no, it's been I'm surprised myself, and it's even better now because I mean I just said we've just completed an office move because then we had to face the homeschooling, the
Yeah.
big homeschooling issue. I have four, so already that's like a headache for me because I wasn't trained as a teacher. So with all these under 4 under 10 kids that I have to homeschool, it's actually been convenient that I can work from home whilst
Right.
sorting them out. So basically, I've set them up in a classroom in the now new office where we're working from, and the office is right in the house as well.
That's perfect. So how are you managing the homeschooling? Just wondering, what are you doing? Do you have somebody
Yeah,
who's helping you?
so the first time before they went on the summer break, if you had asked me this, how are you managing? I'll say I'm not managing. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not managing. And the thought of it, getting close to reopening, they reopened yesterday was just like every time I think about it, my heart just skips 3 beats. But we've started. I got someone to assist. I got a home teacher to assist. So we've set them up nicely. We put the blackboard. So it gives them also some semblance of normalcy. So they literally wake up, bath, wear their uniforms, the whole works, and walk down to the classroom and get it on. So for now, it's looking like we may survive.
Right. That's fabulous. And I love how you kind of incorporated the routine. It's so important for children, but it's so important for adults as well, right? I mean, I know for a fact that, and I've seen it with the most successful people around me, they have healthy routines. They have routines that help them be productive throughout the day. And they know how to get into that mind and into that mode of, okay, now we're working. Now I'm a mom. Now I'm a
exactly.
and so that really helps. How have you been able to kind of switch, or did you have to switch in the first place, or did you just maintain the routine the way it was, or did you change it in some way?
Routine, are we talking about COVID still or generally being a mom and working? Unfortunately, I think the am I on? Okay.
In general,
are you talking like during COVID? Oh, there's something wrong with this internet. Anyway,
Did your routine change?
Yeah,
at
you
any
know,
point?
for myself, I've always had that overlap. Oh, am I back? Are we back?
Yeah,
Are we back?
absolutely.
I think Miss ABA
Absolutely.
is Miss ABA, you're back. Okay, great. And for me, I actually started my professional life as a mom, so it's never been separate. You know, my
Right.
work and my life as a mom has always sort of had to overlap at some point because literally my first office had the baby cot next to my chair. So, you know, this is how I've rolled from day one. And most people who know me professionally know, you know, this comes with the this is my baggage that comes with me. But you know, I think the beauty is just making it work anyways. We do have to do this part, you know. It's only we who can do it, produce people. So so I mean, for me, you know, slipping into this COVID, now they are homeschooling and I'm having to work. I've had to it's been a little easier on me because it's never been weird to have kids running around when I'm working.
Yeah.
So now that's where we are. Now it's official. COVID has made it official.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what about this new normal? Is the new normal relevant to you in any way at this point?
Well, new normal means we can have these sessions. I don't have to be
Yeah.
physically everywhere all the time. It's good. It's bringing also quite a lot of efficiency because then you know 2-3 people get together. We're on Zoom. We get it done. We're going, and then you can have time to go and check someone's homework and come back to it. But
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just of course like everything else. You need to also know your boundaries so it doesn't seep into every aspect of your life. Like just because we are on Zoom at 10 p.m., there's suddenly an emergency meeting. No, it's really just you
Yeah.
need to be able to compartmentalize that aspect well. Because now really work has access to everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but
True.
that really is quite the new normal, I guess. And I think new normal as well, even on the um, family side, we are forced to have more time together, and you know
Yeah.
your planning and everything now involves so much more of a particular small group, small units, small family groups. So whereas before you would have had friends and you know all kinds of people coming together, this time most when you are planning things, you are thinking of immediate family, cousins. You just keep it restricted. So
Right.
that's new. It's fine. We are enjoying it as much as we can.
Yeah.
That's fabulous here. I think we have to apologize to the viewers. We dove right into your personal space without kind of working our way in with, who you are, what's your journey been like, how did we get here? Because
Yeah.
you're talking from the chair of like, okay, you have a business that's running successfully. You have
Yeah.
managed your kids, your private life. You are sitting there, beautifully dressed, office setup. So, but we want to know how can we
Exactly.
get there and how did you
Yeah.
do it? So
Yeah.
please.
Okay. Do you have a particular question you want to start with, or should I just tell you about my journey?
Yeah. Your journey, starting from
My journey.
university.
Okay. So I got into I didn't choose to do architecture. So in secondary school, no, let me start from JSS. So basically, I'm an artist. I've always been an artist, and I'm artisting everywhere. And this was like giving my mother heartache because she couldn't imagine what I'm going to do with this art in future. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, but my dad was very supportive of the arts, and so when I was going to secondary school, I was advised by my art teacher that basically, as talented as you are, don't divert. I should stay with the art, and so I should choose to do visual arts. Of course, my mother wouldn't have it, and so
Right.
we waited for her to be out of town, and we went and registered for me to do visual arts, which broke her. All the same, I mean, it was difficult for a while. That is that all you're gonna do? You know, you can, because I was also very good with the sciences. I'm very good with the math. So it's like, this is my daughter. You can do science, you can do maths. Why do you want to grow? But eventually, of course, I mean, there's a funny joke there. So at that time, when I finished GSS, whenever she's telling a friend of me, she would say, "Oh, Amia got 11 ones and is going to Holy Child to do visual arts so she can take it to do architecture university." Like she would just list the whole thing from beginning to end because she heard that, okay, she can use it to do architecture. And for that reason, we were cool. So there was a little of blackmail there. So by the time I had to select a course in university, I didn't necessarily have a choice.
Right.
It wasn't exactly something I had picked myself, so I also hadn't explored it much. So I literally went to university, sat in my first year class without ever having seen an architect before or have any clue what it is they do. I just knew, okay, they said I should do architecture. And it's really literally to the glory of God that I'm sitting here enjoying architecture. Like, so yeah, that's how I ended up doing architecture. I mean, through university, if you know anything about the architecture training, it's we call it architecture. It's a nickname for it. It's like a cultural journey.
Wow.
A journey of 6 years. After which, yes, after your 6th year, you come out and work for 2 years, and then you then qualify to write your licensing exam. So you asked about the AGIA, why I have that at the end of my name.
Yeah.
Because it took me 8 years to get there. And once you have that license, then you are qualified to practice on your own. So I think for me, that was when as soon as I was licensed, was when I went freelancing. Because also I was starting in the family life direction. I was going to get married, I'd have kids. I didn't generally, workspaces weren't conducive of that. We'd encountered male senior architects who had said they don't employ women. Like it's just there. You don't employ women, please.
Wow.
Why would you? The work load and strain and the issues of women that we all know. For some of the men, it's like, why even get into it? So for me, also starting out, I needed to prove to myself and especially to other ladies that, I mean, we have our issues, but it doesn't mean we can't also play at the, at the highest level.
Yeah.
And with God's grace, that's how far we've come.
Wow. I love this. There's so many things I want to jump on, but okay, let's do this. First of all, you do this 8-year journey, right?
Yeah.
Are there, and then you chose freelancing. Was it more so because you could not get the job, or was it because you realized you've worked so hard, you might as well be your own boss?
Oh, well, I did work before the licensing. So after school, after the 6 years, you do get into a job. And it's that job practical experience that you use to write the licensing exam. So I did work at, one of the best places I could have ever worked for. My boss was superb. And she was a lady. This was a woman, yes. Yeah. And a woman doing it at also, up top levels. So
come on now.
She said, oh yes. She just modeled it in front of us. The only thing was she didn't have the family parts interfering. So so she was all out. And that it was good for me and my colleagues who went there seeing a woman, do it in that way. So by the time I was going in the family direction, I think that's the only reason why I left. I would have stayed forever and ever because I love my boss so much. But the setting wasn't just going to accommodate it the way, the way I would have. And I left, but even though I was freelancing, I was still helping out from my old office, and we still have a good relationship. I still help out when I can. We collaborate when we can. So
yeah. So can I know about, the freelancing bit? Because that is quite of a phase that they say predominantly women they fear, to really take that step. What helped you manage the freelancing? So finding clients, being able to take on jobs, being operational, maybe by yourself or with the right people. What did you do? How did you where did you start?
Okay, so freelancing. It actually started briefly while I was still in my old office because um, I met an old family relative friend person
Hmm.
who was also going into the real estate space. And
Yeah,
it's like, okay, you're an architect. What can you do? I said, well, I can do everything architect. And so we gave it a first try. Um, at this time, I was, we were experimenting a type of architecture that wasn't very commercial.
yeah,
So, and you will know that before a lot of buildings in Ghana had a particular style, the very, yes, very temperate and what do you call it, huge roofs and all this kind of thing. And it was really what people looked forward to in houses. So, a lot
yeah,
of commercial real estate developers were not ready to try something that I thought, Ghanaians won't like this. So,
yeah,
I mean, this client was, he had done a bit, but he was also coming out, and we both sort of gave it a go with one first project,
yeah,
which is actually sitting now, with one first project, and to see. And the outcome was quite phenomenal. Um, and this was Imperial Homes. The
yeah,
outcome was
exactly. Your
and so it
signature
was
work.
like, wow, we can do this. And Ghanaians actually liked it. This was the point where we found that actually Ghanaians have taste. So off we went. And then there was a
Yeah,
next project. Then there was a next. Initially, because I was still working in an office, I would, and this is, I kid you not, I would come home from work in my office
yeah,
sometimes at 10 p.m. at midnight, and I would
yeah.
sit and work on my private work till the next morning. You literally sometimes just having an hour of sleep in between. This went on for quite a while.
Wow.
You're gonna go crazy. Yes, there's a lot of sweat behind the success. A whole lot of sweat.
Yeah. Yeah, if I might
So
show it, because for those of you who don't know, Imperial Homes is very much like a signature, you know, architecture. I don't know the right words for it, but this is
yeah,
luxury at
this
its
style of
finest.
activity.
Um, can you tell a bit about introducing this type of new style of architecture to a market that is male dominated? So it's coming from a woman. They're
Yeah.
even telling you don't hire women. That's what you explained to us. How
Yeah.
was this process? How did this go?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was quite experimental at the start. It's not to say people weren't doing this. People were doing this, but it was very few and far between. And usually it would be, private, someone who really, really just wants to do this for themselves. But when you had to go into a market where now you're competing with other, other estates, other developers, it was like, do you want to come out so different? And at the end, you're spending money, you want your money back. I had actually experience
Yeah.
with a previous developer who tried to go that way and chickened out very, very quickly. And now they are
Wow.
actually pursuing this style. So it was risky. The thing about this style of architecture is it's it relies so much on the purity of the architecture itself, the forms itself. It has no frills, it has no add-ons, no accessories. The beauty is in the pure form. And so it is as timeless as can be. And that's why they call it international style, because a rectangle is a rectangle wherever you go in this world.
Yeah.
Right.
A square is a square wherever you go. A straight line is desired to be a straight line wherever you go. A circle is a circle. So it goes down to these pure elements and works with them so that every aspect of the core fabric is working towards the aesthetic. it's not designed and let's add this to make it nice. So in fact, the minute you say, let me add this to make it nice, you've gone in the opposite direction. You've got it wrong. So it's pure, and I think it appeals to a certain sense of purity in people as well, because lifestyle is also getting and that's just generally smartness in general. You're putting 20% to get 80%, basically. You put less to get it. Is less is more, actually. That's the tagline for this style of architecture. Less is more. And so yes, when it came on and people discovered that, oh, all the money I would have spent on the roof, now I can enjoy it in a beautiful large pane of glass connecting my living room to my gardens, so that no matter how small my space is, because it's the view continues into the garden, I don't feel hemmed in, I don't feel claustrophobic. So then, of course, we are human and people enjoy. You want to enjoy what you've put your money in. And so as much as, and you see that you say it's the most luxurious you can, yes, these tend to come out looking and feeling so luxurious. But I was surprised if they actually don't cost more than the other ones, which you think, are less luxurious.
Right.
But the value brings a lot more luxury to that. So that's what it is.
So,
yes. And Gabriel's picked up on it.
I'm wondering now, right? I'm listening to you. I'm seeing what you have done. For those of you who haven't seen her work, look, there's enough to see. How do you go from being, a freelancer? How do you then position yourself to get these kind of assignments? What was it that you did? What was your approach?
Yeah. Okay. So, like with everything in life, you need to put in something to get the type of thing you are looking for.
Right.
The in tree will say, so basically, for a lot of freelancers, you would stay in freelance because it's also convenient. You're not really answering too much. You only do what do something as and when you really want to. You can play by completely your own rules. You have less responsibility. And in our case, for architects, we call them tabletop architects, because really all you need is your laptop and your creativity, and you can do anything.
Right.
But in the end, it removes you from, or it's eliminates you from the space where you are talking about liabilities, professional indemnity. You're talking, there are some projects that just by the value of it, you can't show up with your laptop. You need to have a certain establishment. And a certain track record. So what I tell people is freelancing is good for building a portfolio, which will then lead to you being able to set up properly. No matter how small, you start formalizing things. So I started formalizing with, I took on 1 or 2 technicians, so they could be doing the drafting while I'm designing. An architect, I got an architect to join. And then eventually, okay, we need to administer this somehow. Things are going to have to be filed. Somebody needs to go do taxes. So we had an administrator join us. And then, of course, from there, now you are a little big, you can take on a little more work. And once you take on a little more work, you're attractive to even bigger projects. And then you're just going. And as you're going, you sort of build up the capacity to undertake all those things. In my case, we grew very fast, very large and very fast. Straight from within 5 years, we were talking about 50 employees, 52 or so. So we grew very fast. Yes, which was good. Also stressful, but good.
Right.
And so yes, and this is then it starts getting really this is a different space altogether. You have different departments. Now you need a whole department for accounts. Then you need a whole department for human resource, because human beings need to be resourced and managed, and all kinds of things. I think so. You need to go from point A to point B to point C. Of course, what eventually and where we are now, considering with COVID and everything, thankfully, we've also now found a system that still gives us that large reach, but not too big a load on us as a firm.
Right.
That's purely the consultancy, which you mentioned. It's strange you talked about that, Kimberley.
Is it?
Very, very strange. We'll have to talk about this off air.
No,
Absolutely.
it's so amazing what you've done, and for some of the listeners who may not be watching, and this is my core business, right? I work with fast growing companies. If you tell me that in 5 years you're growing to 52 people and still running a business, most businesses fail in 5 years. So let's just put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Then we have a company that is actually going against that and growing year on year by almost 100%. So what we're doing here is we're seeing a fast growing company in Ghana led by a woman. I'm trying to tell people today, we were built to grow things. I keep telling y'all.
We were fashioned to grow things.
Amazing. So inspiring.
I absolutely like I love how you've been able to take your experience building your portfolio and then starting as a business. So can you take us back to officially starting the business as it is now? Because I know you are the CEO, you have a co-founder. Can you take us back? When did that happen? And also, what did you do to come to this, to scale up? Because that is also one vital thing is what does it take for you to get from one point to that next? Yeah.
Okay, so initially I was just formalizing my business so I could, grow. And as I was growing, I needed more capacity. So it was really just rolling in that sense. I think 3 years into the formalizing of the firm, my friend, who's also an architect who I've known for forever, she joined us. She also had her little team. And at that time, I had outsourced a project to her team, which they were doing so well and marvelously. We said, you know what, why don't we just put our forces together? And between us, we have our superpowers. We call it that, I have my superpower, she has a superpower, and that makes, our partnerships, so successful. So together, she joined us for a while, and then after, I think, 3 or 4 years or so. I mean, we then formalized the partnership. So she's now a full partner, and then we took it from there. But I think what was the question again? I seem to have lost
the scaling up, starting from putting the business together, your co-founder.
Yes. And then they joined. And then as the work was coming, we're having to take on more. Now, what was happening was, and I got it maybe, I won't call it wrong, but I didn't get it right from the start. So we were sort of chasing after the getting it right. Now we've gotten to a point where I think we've got it quite right. And so for example, and I'm coming back to the consultancy, because initially we had this whole capacity as a full-time in-house staff on monthly salary, for example. You can imagine the stream on a company like that. Eventually, this was 2-3 years ago, we restructured. And in the restructuring, what we did was we allocated every staff to a specific project. So basically, our staff were consulting on specific projects. And really, since we started out with that, it's been smooth, it's been easier, it's been less work on me, less load on me.
I can imagine.
And I think what the staff too is giving them so much independence. And generally, I think when you are consulting and you feel like you have more control of what you are doing and what you are getting, there's there's a better sense of responsibility to the work. So we are actually getting even more productivity out of the staff than when they were just, just employed.
Being paid.
Yeah,
Yes.
whatever happens, you get paid anyway. But now you're getting paid
Yeah.
for the work you're doing, so you work even better. I think that's how we've gone into COVID, and COVID did not have an impact on us because we had restructured in such a way that
Great.
people were working so independently. When we had to let them work, really literally from home, it didn't affect our business so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So really implementing a more flexible approach,
Yes.
leaning to
Very.
being more project based, made sure that it actually gave the company a backbone, definitely in this
Oh yes.
in this
Oh yes.
period.
Yes, it did. It did very
I love
much.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a good piece of advice for even other companies that tend to do consulting or either have any work that's digital or technical that hasn't been really much harmed by COVID-19, but yet they're finding their means to restructure or find the right
Yeah.
structure for that company.
Yeah.
I
Very
definitely love that. So
very
how is the reputation of women in the architecture industry now? Because it seems that with these great accomplishments, you must have, shaken the whole industry
Oh
in
yes.
a way.
Oh oh yes. I mean, let me say, I think in the introduction you said first female. There have been a couple of firms that started off as all female. Of course, not none grew to the size we've grown to, but there have been a few in the past. Yeah, much smaller. Because I think because I worked with a woman, I actually didn't think I had a
Mhm.
limitation. And so I also work as though I don't have a limitation.
Yeah.
So, for example, and just today I was being teased about this because there are people who can't recognize me when I'm not pregnant because my whole working life I've been pregnant or I have a baby with me. I've been pregnant or I have a baby with me. So, yeah, and I would go to sites, with my tummy, whatever. If I had to go, I would go. I've had cases where, I have my baby and I move along as though, you know, as though nothing stopped, and we
Yeah,
continue. And I think for
sure,
me, the
sure.
conscious effort at the beginning, when I started freelance with Imperial Homes, and so much was dependent on me. They relied on me for so much
Right.
because I was birthing these concepts, I was birthing these designs, and then I got pregnant with my first baby, and at that point, I think the thought that came to me was, men are generally going to think I'm not capable at this point. And so
Yeah,
there's a slight likelihood that they won't want to bother me. And for that reason, they will start sending projects to others. This was literally me. And I
Right.
said to myself, anything I need to do, I'm going to do. So if it's a meeting, I'm there. It became so usual that I don't think even the men working with me and around me really considered that maybe there's something else happening with her. They just took it as, oh, I'm working, and then we continue. They didn't necessarily um, change towards me. Unfortunately, that has
yeah.
also maybe put a lot of pressure on my staff, the ladies, when they get pregnant because they see me doing it anyway. Anyway, those who can,
Yeah,
they do. Those who can, they do. But of course, we also know medically, some people just can't. And for that, we give room. We give room. Um, and
sure.
for me as well, one of the things I'll say I've been for a lot of the ladies that have come to work with us, just the fact that they know if they get pregnant, they are not losing their job. When they have a baby, they can still go on maternity. And most of them will even try to take their work home. So at the maternity, they go with their laptop, their print, the whole works, set up a little office so they can still get something going. They know that after maternity, when they come in, and they come with the baby, it's not a big deal. So we had a little nursery space created for those who have to come back and breastfeed the baby and sometimes go and pump the milk. We know ourselves. And we just accommodate it and we move on. And I know for a lot of them that has been really defining for them that they can continue in this profession. They don't need to set it aside. If it's not medical or critical, you really can. There's room. There really is room for us as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think this is such a powerful example of what role modeling does. Because as you said, you were working at a firm where you saw that this was possible. And she did not even have the family element coming in between. But what it did was when you were doing your, you were setting up your business. You did not see that as a limitation at all. You understood that it could have been perceived as a limitation, so you acted upon it. But because of the fact that you saw somebody else do it, and I keep saying this is why we have these conversations with women like you, because as long as we can't see each other doing the things that we think are impossible, or people telling us that are impossible, we're going to believe that. And now you're changing the story, because now we've spoken to you. You are working for her. You're the women that are working in your business, you have set the standard for them. So they're not going to settle for anything less now, right? So I think this is such a powerful, powerful example of how this works. It's really a ripple effect. That's what it is.
It is. It really is. It is. It is.
I love
even
that.
for,
Absolutely love that.
students coming out, because believe it or not, a lot of even the architects in school, students, a lot of the girls usually would not think they could still pursue it in full. I have there's a silence code of some sort that as for the women, when we come out, we'll become decorators, and even if you're in an office, you take more of the administrative responsibility. You're not really expecting much design or site work or something. So at the beginning, people would come in interview. I'm like, so what aspect of architecture are you interested in? 90% of the time, the women will say, I'm thinking of interior or landscape. It's like it's been built, put in our head somehow that if it's women, you have to go in that direction. The first thing I'll say is, you know what? And that's what we do. When you come in, we let you go at it full force. And then afterwards, decide whether it's not for you and you want to specialize in this or not. But I feel like you need to have that opportunity to handle a project from A to Z.
That is amazing.
Yes, and then you can come and tell me, I want to do this aspect. And most of the time, the ladies, they stay on the full course because they realize, I did it. I dealt with the engineers. I dealt with contractors. I dealt with soil. And now the building is there. You can see it physically. Wow. They are not going back.
Amazing. I love that.
It must be therapeutic for them. I mean, like even building something from A to Z, seeing that come up, it's like the evidence. Yeah,
Again,
that's really
so much about your leadership skills. I'm hearing this throughout. It's like a red thread throughout the conversation. You're not just a founder. You're not just a CEO. You are not just running a business. You are a leader in every explanation of the word. I think that you are doing that and their leadership styles, right? And I think yours is very strongly towards setting the example, having done it yourself, doing it out of experience, and then allowing other women and empowering them to find out for themselves what is their strength. They don't have to be you, but they're sure going to have to try and find out what it is that they can do, right, without putting those limitations on themselves from the get-go. Because like you said, it's all about us controlling the narrative and writing our own stories, right? This is why we're here. This is what you have done. You created your own path in an industry that told you that wasn't meant for you. And so I think, and just so it seems like something so basic, but I think people underestimate the value of what you do when you tell women you are going to do something from A to Z and then we'll talk. There are
Yeah.
so many companies who are going to allow women to say, well, I want to decorate, or probably you've thought about it, or maybe
Yeah.
they know that you haven't thought about
Yeah.
it, but so I feel like that is such an important step that you are taking to challenge women. And then again, it's not about pushing them into something that's not meant for them, but showing possibilities. There's so
Yeah.
much power in that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all
And
about.
in the meantime, for those of you who tune in, we are still talking about dominating male industries on this very special edition of Women About Business. Shout out to Richie AT who dropped the question. Eben, shout out to you as well for even arranging this. We will
Oh,
be
is he
getting
on?
to your question. He is definitely on. We will be getting to your questions in about 5 minutes. As we continue, Nanekri, I really want to know from you. You know, it's a male-dominated industry. We know that. Are there a couple of events that you can recall and share that have been quite, maybe sometimes even confrontational, with people that would expect the other? Some in some industries, some women were asked to pick up the coffee table or something. They were just automatically considered as the secretary or something like that. Um, how is that in your industry? Have you experienced anything of such that you had to set somebody straight and correct some matters?
Oh, well, I'll say that right from the beginning, I think, and this is one of my favorites, when people are coming to us on the back of having seen our work or hearing about our, the works we've done from referrals and this kind of thing, and we finally meet face to face. Like normally, you just know, like it's a little bit of a surprise. Like okay,
Mhm.
um, I think when people hear, especially when they look at a building and say, "Oh, the architect is coming," they're expecting to see an old, gray man or strong. I don't know what they're expecting to see, but normally, usually,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a surprise. And I like to play on on that with my girls. So we will go looking as girly as we can in our boots, and then show up, and they're like, okay. And in the end, for me, it's by the time we've left that meeting, there is no doubt in anybody's mind who the architect is. That's like first and foremost. There's no doubt in anybody's mind who the architect is. When there are things like, oh, we have to climb up, check out something on the roof, and you have the workmen and things trying to get, oh, madam, what are you talking about? Before they start talking, I'm there. And so, yeah, it's for me. Actually, I find it amusing when things like that happen. I actually take it as a nice, amusing factor because yeah, they are not expecting us, but we are here, and so we carry on. Yeah, and that, for me, that's the attitude.
Yeah. They have to take it or leave it.
Oh yeah. If you are not lucky, I'm even with the children, so take the whole bunch.
And what about because it's said that finding trustworthy people in Ghana to work with is a challenge. What do you think about that, and how have you managed that? If you agree, if you don't agree, what is your experience with that?
Trustworthy people. I don't know if I would say I can't make it a blanket expression that it's difficult to find trustworthy people because um, from my experience, I can't I can't point out someone who I couldn't trust. I think it's all part of also the way we recruit or bring people on. That's
Yeah,
and the culture we have in the firm. So if you are a misfit, you will find your way out actually, because I'm thinking that's probably what it is, because I can't actually point out to someone who was not trustworthy, who's been working, or no. If you are misfits, you will find your way out. So everyone, let me put it this way: we call ourselves Archxenus as a family. Everyone that works here or has worked here, it's like family for them. Everybody
Right.
takes some sense of ownership or some sense of pride in being a part of this, and everyone is
Sure.
trying. Everyone is defending it whenever possible. So they go out and they are dealing with a third party. They are Archxenus, and they will defend Archxenus to the bone. Everyone, and we've had, for example, for most people that have worked with us, not less than 5 years before they will leave.
Oh,
And this is our retention. Oh yes, our retention. Every time someone is leaving, it's almost like they don't want to go, but they have to go, and we end up having a little sub party, and then they are off, and they are still coming around anyway. So we have that thing. I
yeah.
think that's what keeps us. We're quite close knit, I think. Yes.
That's really interesting. It's really
Well, I,
interesting.
I can't agree to the not trustworthy thing. I don't know.
No, I like that. It's debunked
Yeah.
officially now.
It is.
And coming back on what you said about the company culture, it's very interesting. I'm working with a firm now that is researching. They're a daughter, they're a spin-off company from McKinsey, and they're researching some of the success factors of fast-growing companies. And one of them, in terms of culture, is that they see each other as a family in terms of how they relate. And so work and private is separate, but in the workplace, the relationships, the trust, the communication, dependency, accountability, all of those things are similar to that of a family dynamic. And that is what you see in fast scaling companies. So that's really interesting.
People-centered,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
People-centered. We care about each other. I mean, a lot of very close relationships have been formed out of here. Lifelong relationships, even with people who have left, people who have worked here, they form, lifelong bonds. Even after they've left, you can see there's a lot of that. It's very important to me.
Amazing.
Yeah. I love that. And I love how you said it's the way you recruit. That is also a very good,
Yes.
good.
We have to connect,
Yeah.
You have to connect, yeah. So
Totally get it. Totally get it. A few questions that our listeners have. I'd like to touch on that before we round up. And I know there's also Kimberly that also like to ask some few questions to get your idea on a few topics. But first we have Richie, who is commending us for having our talk. He is saying, you know what, seeing young African ladies taking on the reins of business, always refreshing to see. I applaud you. Shout out to Richie AT for making that comment. Feels good that coming from a male. His question is, what's the competition like in the business space? Are there more and more women in your space? Competition and women.
okay, competition. Well, there are a lot more women now, actually, actively practicing, and competition. It's not. You carve a niche for yourself, and
Right.
people come to you because of what you offer. And so I wouldn't necessarily call it competition. It's just so many different firms come with their own brand. Let me put it that way, brand, and people, gravitate towards the particular brand. So, for example, if there's a style of architecture you're looking for, or a working system that you're looking for that is not really what we do, we won't be the right people to anyway. So I think for us, and it's not a very large space, we don't have that many people playing in the industry anyway. So there is generally room for room for all of us. And I think most
Sure.
people are thriving, of course, at different levels. But as like I went back to say, as much as you put in, you get. So I may
Yeah.
have the capacity to take on X number more projects because I have this much more capacity. Unlike another firm
Right.
which doesn't have the capacity and will have to limit the projects they take on to suit the capacity they have. So it's really that's how it is. But yeah, people come to us because of what we do. That's why they're coming.
Yeah. That unique style, that sense of
The handwriting.
the handwriting. That's the word for it. I love
Yeah.
that. One question that I would really like to that we like to know from you is like looking back over the last couple of years, what are like the major lessons that you've taken on from doing business, starting your business, building your portfolio until now?
Okay, the first thing I'll say is, and as for this one, I say it especially to diasporans because I have family in there. Please, as much as we have a lot of things in books. Ghana operates in a certain space that is not in books. Things will shock you, because
Yeah.
a lot of our system, economy, what works is not recorded anywhere. It's really literally in the informal space.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have not been or have been discouraged by some of the things they read, or when they put the numbers, somebody, they have the big reports on the country and this kind of thing. They look at
Yeah.
that, expect things to be running a certain way in Ghana and come and are surprised.
Yeah.
So you have people, for example, asking questions like, why will I buy a house for $500,000? Even in the US, I saw even in the so and so, it is total. The dynamics are so different,
Right.
and sometimes you think that a certain idea will not work because on paper, they've put this together and it looks like it will. Please, I always say, calm down, come to the country, get into that particular space, and see how it
Right.
works outside of the paper.
Right.
A lot happens that is not captured on the
I love
paper.
that.
And
I
that's
love
really where you make you make them are just understanding how things work, how people expect things to be, how people think here in this our Ghana. It's very different.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So get some experience on the ground. Come and
Yeah,
feel. Come
you
and,
guys, they're coming from places where 1+1 is always 2.
oh yeah.
Yeah, not in Ghana. 1+1 can do all these classes. You've put 1+1, but it's not adding up to
Right.
2.
Yeah. You're even lucky if two comes out.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird, but it's also interesting. And I think eventually we're going to be able to formalize this our informal thing, and it will be quite an interesting thing to see how things
Yeah.
actually work. in Ghana.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So I think, and we're close to rounding up. What I quickly
Okay.
wanted to do is ask, and I'll make 5 statements. And all you have to answer is whether you think it's a fact or it's a fib, whether it's true or
Great.
false.
All right.
But you have to answer quickly. Are you
Okay.
ready? All right.
I bet.
First one. Anyone who's good at drawing can be an architect.
Fib. Fib.
An architect and a civil engineer are almost the same.
Fib.
With the rise of artificial intelligence and engineering technology, there may be no need for architects in the next decade.
Absolute fib.
Most people won't be able to hire an architect because it's for the rich and for the corporates.
Oh, that's so fib. Is there any facts coming?
I would love your elaboration on 2 things: the rise of technology, the relevance of architects. Do you see the role changing though over the next decade?
In fact, what's going to happen is it's going to make our work even more in depth. Because what's going to happen is, technology will take care of the mechanical things, the frills that take away your human time. The time you need to create an experience, the time you need to create experiences for people, because architecture at the end is for people, for experience. Right. That's time, because now we will have technology take every bit. I mean, you think it and it's done it. So you can spend more time not correcting mistakes, but carving out dreams even clearer. I mean, it's going to make architecture amazing. It's going to make architecture blow up, because we won't spend time doing the mundane things.
I love that. I love it. So, and what do you think about this whole? A lot of people have the perception that you are not going to need an architect or able to afford an architect until you are with some money.
Yeah.
How is that relative, or is it just not true?
So what it says is, if you're ready to build,
yeah,
you must have some money.
Right.
Because you don't build with air, you will build with money.
Yeah.
And an architect's charges are related to that cost you are using to build. So, because our fees are, directly from the cost of construction. So if you are not ready to pay an architect, it means you are not ready to build.
Right.
Unfortunately, what happens is, because of this myth, people cut out the cost of an architect, go ahead to build, and spend 3-4 times more on building, of which an architect would have saved you, and you just pay them their worth. That's really good. So I mean, if you're poor, then it just means you can't build. So why are you even trying to?
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So
this is
you save up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you save up, or whatever you are. However, whatever route you are using to get a building, that route includes your professional consultancies of architects, engineers. In fact, you get the best if you go with the professionals. If you go the other way around, trust me, you spend 3-4 times more. So that same money you could have just paid us.
Right. I love this. And I know, because there's so many websites now that are like selling you plans, and you just buy a plan, and then you start hiring people randomly. You start building. And I know, like, I have houses in Ghana. The last one the one that is being built now, we actually used an architect up front, right? So now it's like, okay, all right. But it's all about perception. And I think that, I just never dove into it as though that was something possible. That's something that was possible. Yeah. We're just building a house. It's not, you don't need to, like, when we build a mansion, that's when we're going to take an architect. I think that's the kind of perception that a lot of
actually, so the one who is trying to build a small house even needs an architect more, because in that small house, an architect will give you so much value.
Right.
So much value. I'll give an example.
Yeah.
I have a client friend who got a one plot in a very prestigious estate.
Right.
And at the beginning of it, just kept feeling very, everybody is building on 2-3 plots. They're building mansions. They're so and so. I said, relax. House. We have designed these people's house. They are living in it. And to date, people with mansions come and view. And can we look? Can we so and so? Come and view.
I love this.
They are enjoying more space than a lot of people are. At the beginning, I said something little. Just by opening a view into a garden and connecting your exterior space, so much can happen that you could be living in a humongous mansion, and every space you are in feels like
right,
small,
right.
And you're walking and there are columns hitting you in the face, and so and so. So actually, the one with the little money building, the little 2-bedroom thing, get an architect. You have the most beautiful one. You enjoy your investment, because whether you like it or not, the money you use to build is an investment. It's not pocket change. So you've got to get it right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for this, Nana. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you also so much for having me.
And again, before you walk out, first, what is your advice to the aspiring architect out there who's looking into Ghana or either is in Ghana and that is looking to set up her business and start her journey in this industry? What is your piece of advice? And also, last but not least, shout outs. If you have any shout outs that you want to give out.
Shout out. Okay, I missed that. But so for a young person aspiring, number one, it is possible. That's what I'll tell you. It is possible. Number two, find your niche. Define your threshold and stick with it in terms of your architecture, your style, your brand, and this kind of thing. If you are a confused architect, that's how your business will just be confused. Define what it is you are doing and stick with it. Sometimes you will have to let clients go because they don't align with your vision or your.
Yeah.
You understand? You don't want things in your portfolio that don't align with where you want to go. So very important. You have to do that. It is possible. Define your niche and stick with it. And of course, for everything else, I'm a severe faithful Christian. Keep your foundation, your faith foundation. If you're a Christian, please you need, because in all this, I mean, you need some solid thing backing you. Yeah, you need God. Really. Just keep God first in everything. Keep God first. Keep God first, and just keep
Wow.
God.
Thank you so much for this. This were so many gems were dropped, so much knowledge, so many insights, so much inspiration. So thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me, and goodbye to your listeners and viewers.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Nakia. We'll talk. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, this is our special interview with Nanekia, dominating male industries as an architect. So many. I'm just gonna listen to this again because so many gems were dropped. It was like tweetable statements and all of that. And I love how she talked about, from the way you do recruitment to, a role model, finding that role model who's also a woman, and shaping the culture within your business. All of that is like even helpful for a lady in digital marketing like me, or entertainment or anything, any other sector industry that is around. So I was really
And I love
inspired.
that this is, and I can't recall ever having a conversation or seeing a talk show where we're talking about women in architecture. I don't know. It's just one of those topics that it's there, but not really. And now it's in Ghana. We have so many. That's like so many layers that we covered today, because there's this cultural thing, and then there's this gender, and then it's like a whole lot of issues. And I think I love how I see her as a trailblazer. She just saw something and she went for it. And then she made it happen, 100-fold, building an actual business, because I think we would have still interviewed her with her accomplishment with Imperial as a freelancer. We would have still interviewed her. But then she went on and she built a business with 52 plus people in 5 years and doing these amazing things. So I love that we are able to have these kind of conversations on the show. And thank you everyone for your feedback, for your conversation, for your engagement, for watching, tuning in, sharing. Yeah, I another very inspiring session this was.
Inspiring, yeah. And many more inspiring ones to go. Excited for this season. Yay. And what more is to come. In the meantime, I would really like to give a shout out to Evan. Evan makes it happen. He just sets up the connections. And also shout out to Richie AT, who was one of, like, I don't know what to call him. Like, he's one of the he's like a commentator. He comments passionately. Shout out to Richie AT. Shout out to Vivian Akua who's also
Hey,
going to be one of our special guests who interacted with us. Since he said, "I love the
yes,
virtual
excited
work
about
style.
that.
The world is smaller this way." Well, we've come to the end of Women About Business. Again, it's a delight to be with you on this journey, Kimberly. And let's see what else 2020 has in store for us in terms of gem dropping knowledge with all kinds of women.
Yes. Thank you. All right,
Yeah,
guys. Have a great evening
and you
and see
too.
you soon.
You
Bye.
too. Have a good night. Bye bye.